Aloha. Let me just lower this down. This is Stephanie with Turtle Flow Yoga. Turtle Flow. Welcome to my channel. So this is Yogi Tea Time. So welcome to a little afternoon tea break with me. So I am drinking let me see. Organic blood orange rooibos herbal tea from Trader Joe's. So this has a lot of vitamin C and it's a great flavor for winter season. So I just decided to try this flavor. It's caffeine free. And if you're watching this on replay, thank you. Please be sure to subscribe and like this video if you like the content or the topic of discussion. And please, either in the comment or in the live chat, if you're watching this live, please write down your favorite tea or what tea you're drinking. And I've just put a link in the live chat. If you would like to join the live as a guest panel to share your experience with public speaking or how you overcame any fear of public speaking, you can use a link to come on as my guest. Normally, I reserve that for my email list and asked people to email me first and pre-arrange prior to the live, but this one we're going to do it more impromptu. So as you're joining, if you would like to join and actually come on, and especially if you have a fear of public speaking and want to practice in a safe environment, just being on camera and coming on video, please let me know by clicking that link to ask to be invited to come in and join as a panel. So today's topic, obviously, this is episode 6 of Yogi Tea Time. It's a YouTube live series that I've launched from I got the idea from doing some journal prompts when I was reading and doing the exercises and leading the book club for Burning Bright. It's a great self-care book written by my Reiki master teacher, Kelsey Patel. And so this idea birthed as an intuitive guidance and to do this Yogi Tea Time. So my intention is to create a virtual community, also just to put myself out there and do something different, talking about various topics from a yogic perspective and Reiki perspective. And I always turn on my distance Reiki so that you can receive any healing you need while you're watching this video. And it's just to encourage you during this time, even if you're working at home, to just take a break and have some tea time. And 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is usually when I do this, every other Thursday. And that's usually when they have tea time in England. So this is inspired by that ritual, the culture to take that afternoon break to recharge and put some self-care into your day. So please share what tea you're drinking. You're also welcome to join with coffee if you like coffee. There's no judgment. Or chai tea, which is the more traditional yogic drink, chai tea. Also, none of the tea that I share on this series is sponsored. So I just want to put that out there. So our topic of discussion. So normally I'll have a topic of discussion, but this is just sharing personal experience, and it's done in a more casual way. I like to keep everything very simple, and so it's just like friends just sitting down and having a tea break. So today's topic is going to be on overcoming fear of public speaking. So public speaking, statistics have shown that it's the number one fear ahead of fear of death and height. So the top three fears are fear of height, fear of death, and fear of public speaking is at the number one. So I'd figure if I pick this topic, it's going to help you if you overcome the number one fear for most people, and that could be different for you. Excuse me. So once you overcome like the top fear, then all the other fear is easier to overcome. And this is a time to really show up for yourself and put yourself out there to share your gifts in the world. And I certainly struggle with public speaking and being seen. So I thought it would be helpful to share my experience. So I'm just going to preface this video by saying, this live session, by letting you know that this is not going to be a very formal public speaking class, or I'm not speaking from a professional public speaker. Also, I've noticed that right now everything is going virtual, so it's even more important to get over the fear of being on camera or video and just show up and share your message and just make that effort to connect. And a lot of the yoga classes, meditation classes are also done virtually. So I've been offering virtual yoga with dog classes, meditation classes, as well as restorative yin yoga class on Zoom, which is more interactive. I also teach some corporate meditation classes and yoga classes through Zoom. And those are more interactive. And I've noticed that most people just have their video turned off. A lot of times they don't even say anything. But, you know, I honor wherever people are at. And as long as they're showing up and getting and receiving the practice, the healing they need to de-stress and do what's comfortable for them. So as long as they're showing up, I don't mind that. But it is very awkward as a person offering to just have like blank screen and a lot of times not too much conversation in the beginning or in the end. But, you know, now is the time to just honor what feels right for you, but also to challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone and allow yourself to be seen. So it can go either way, and I don't mind it either way. And I know a lot of people are also having to do a lot of Zoom meetings for work and probably have to do more speaking with their coworkers. So I thought this was also a great topic to do. So again, let me know what tea you're drinking or your favorite tea, either in the chat or in the comments. And then let me know also if you do have fear of public speaking or if you're very comfortable speaking in public. So some of you might be more of an expert than me, so you can share any tips you want to share, and so that we can all learn from each other. This is not just me teaching, but to just have a conversation to elevate and help each other grow and raise our vibrations. That is my main intent for this live sessions. So I'm just going to go way back to start to just share my experience of just being seen, especially as an introvert empath. So naturally, I'm more of a introvert, and I'm definitely an empath. And we just did a session on being an empath on our last episode, episode 5. And I have a whole playlist of all the Yogi Tea Times. So you're also welcome to go back and see the different topics. And I'm going to start by going all the way back to when I was a little girl in Korea. I'm originally from Seoul, Korea. And I grew up there until I was 11. So this is not really public speaking, but it's my first experience just being seen in front of a group of people. So from what I remember, I don't know if it's the same way now because I haven't really been back much, but on birthdays, Korea, the culture of Koreans don't dance that much, but really love to sing. So every birthday party I would go to in probably like kindergarten, second, third, every year, what people love to do is everyone has their favorite song, and instead of singing in group, each person goes in front or the center, and each person takes turns singing their favorite song. So it's like that at almost every party, even with adults too. They all have their favorite song, and they call that number 18. I don't know where that comes from. I have to do more research on that. And they'll always sing like a favorite song by themselves for the audience, and people take turns singing. And I think it's in our genes. Most people know how to sing pretty well. And that's how the norebang, the singing rooms, got developed. And that's why karaoke is so popular. But at that time, I was very comfortable doing that just because it's part of the culture and I grew up doing that. But then once I moved to the US and stopped doing that, I don't think I can really sing in front of people anymore. And I don't have the best singing voice, although I do love music and I love chanting. But yeah, this karaoke is still something I have to probably put myself out there to do. And just because I don't really like my singing voice. And then we used to do like dance performances. I'm sure like all of you have done that at school. You will be in different dance or play and perform for your parents. And every time I remember just this one incident where we had to do this like group dance in kindergarten. And then as soon as I make an eye contact with my mom, I would just freeze and stop. And I would get very embarrassed. Even though she wasn't embarrassing me, she was just smiling and looking at me very proudly. But for some reason, I just get really shy. Then in junior, and then when I got to the US, I talked about it the first episode. English is not my first language. So for the first year, I was very reluctant to speak English in general, whether it's in front of a group or one-on-one. So I spent a lot of like the whole first year being very silent, but in the ESL classes, I was more comfortable speaking with people from other countries that are in my ESL class, and all my friends were from that class. And then to my teachers, the ESL teachers. And when I got to junior high, around 7th grade or 8th grade, I had this ESL teacher named Mr. Martinez, and he went beyond just teaching English as a second language. So he used to teach us like hygiene and like a lot of different very practical tips to fit in as foreigner into the culture of the US. And one of the things, I naturally have a very soft voice. So we had to take turns reading a textbook and English book. And he wanted me to get out of my shell of speaking very soft. And I was still coming out of that shell of not really speaking for like almost a year. So I was reading very soft. So to make me get out of that, he made me go outside of the building and read into the classroom from outside. And it was a parking lot. So I just remember being really mortified, and everyone outside was like looking at me weird, giving me weird looks like, what is she doing? Why is she reading? And let me see. I'm going to put it back. But, it was a very helpful lesson for me to like learn to project my voice and speak loud and be more confident. But at that time, I was like mortified. And then when I back into the class after reading, I felt like the whole class was laughing at me. So it was a pretty traumatic experience. But then looking back, I really appreciate the effort that he put into helping me see, parts that I need to improve. And I don't know, maybe it's not the best way, but it did teach me a lesson, and it's something I will never forget. And it did really help me more so than traumatize me in the end. So for me, it worked, but I don't know if it was the best approach because I'm not a child development or teacher in that sense. And then fast forward to college. I was at USC, and I majored in business. So the business program at USC is more case study based. It's more practical. Most universities, it's more theory based. So we had to do a lot of presentations, a lot of public speaking, and I was still very uncomfortable speaking in public, and I would get really scared, and the fear would take over me. And let me see. And a lot of times you had to be in a group, and even my classmates, if they could take over my part, I would do a lot of the back end work and support the group. But if you wanted to get better grades, like I would let other people speak. But if I didn't have choice and if I had to, then I had to just go and do it. But I really was horrible. And it was a very uncomfortable experience. And I got a pretty good grades. I'm pretty book smart, and I was always very studious. So I graduated with honors, and I got really good grades on all the classes. But the only class that I got a C in was the business communication class. So all of the other business classes, they always had some type of group public speaking projects that you had to present every few months, not just for final project. So you did get a lot of practice public speaking. But then when I took the business communication class, they put you in groups, and every week you had to present, and they give you different topics, different presentations to do, and they tape you. And back in that time, it was like actual tape, and then you had to rewind the tape, and everyone in your group, because you had subgroups within that one big class, had to critique each other. And that was like the most mortifying class for me, the most nerve-wracking. And that's the class I got a C in. And most of the videos, when I see it, I was just like looking down, talking really soft. And then one guy in my class, he was like the best speaker, and he reminded me of like Michael J. Fox on Family Ties. I mean, it's kind of going way back, but he had that business sense, and he would come like all dressed like a businessman. And I think the thing that I had a hard time was because I was not really interested in these subjects, talking about strategies, strategic plans, and business. And, even though I majored in it, it was just not really aligned to my personality. And it's not a topic that I'm that interested in. So I think that's why I had a harder time. And when I went to, then years later, when I went to a graphic design school at UCLA, Extensions, I took a typography class, and we had to do a presentation. It was the more advanced typography. And I was about, I think like my last year in the program. It was a 3-year program. And I took many classes with this one teacher named Dean Swick. So I took all my typography classes and production process and how to lay out for print with her. And so I was very comfortable with her teachings. I really liked her classes and her style of teaching. And I really had a love of typography while I was in school. So when I was presenting my project, the final project, and explaining my design theories behind what I was presenting and my designs, she was very impressed with my presentation. And she even told me, wow, I could see you being a really brilliant art director one day. So that was just very reaffirming that I was on the right path. And I was a graphic designer for 16 years, mostly designing DVDs, Blu-ray menus, and websites. Yeah, so I didn't use too much public speaking skills in the industry or the job. It was more introverted, just working long hours on the computer. But it was very social with other coworkers, working together, sharing, and being in meetings and stuff like that. So I was not shy about speaking up. So I think my one tip is when you are talking about something that you're passionate about, or when you're aligned with your purpose or the career that you love, then I think it makes it easier to speak in public. And you just focus on your passion for the subject and the words kind of flow through. You still want to make some outlines, but you don't want to write every word down, because when I was doing the presentation in my business communication class, everything was like all written out, and I didn't really master or didn't have passion for the subject that I was talking about. So it made it harder for me to talk about it. And then when you share more of your personality, your personal stories, then it makes it a lot more easier. And that's one way to get over the fear of public speaking, and just being kind with yourself and gentle with compassion. And, when you're like a real professional public speaker, of course, you want to speak like with a lot of charisma, and there's definitely like a technique to it, but that is beyond what I'm sharing today. But if you're really into that performing aspect and becoming like a motivation speaker, like Tony Robbins, then definitely search out those mentors that's gonna give you those skills. So initially it's just overcoming and believing that you can do it, and finding the subject that you're passionate about, and serving a purpose. And once you also identify who you want to help, how it's going to change someone's life, and how you're rising up to serve that purpose, then I think it also gives you that motivation to get over the fear and just show up and do it. At least that's from my personal experience. And then, of course, I never even imagined or dreamed, or it was never in my intention or vision boards or anything like that. I never wished to become a yoga instructor, but it just all kind of fell in. I went through a major depression, and I was getting like sick a lot, and spending so much time in front of the computer for so many hours, so intensely. It was starting, and I was a workaholic, so it was starting to take a toll on me physically. And then when I went through this like big breakup, all the heartbreak I never dealt with, all kind of like snowballed, and I went into like a depression. And that's when I turned to therapy. And then I had been introduced to the practice of a yoga as a practitioner in a web design house I worked at a while ago, and I dabbled in yoga, but I was mostly doing just gym workouts, which is everything is very compressed. And at that time, when I went through that therapy, depression, my friend also had some ailment. She had like a pinched nerve in her back, and her chiropractor requested or recommended her to go back to yoga. And I was working right across from the power yoga Brian Cast in Santa Monica. So she asked me to come with her. So I started going to his classes, and the concept of letting go of the ego, being in the present moment, and it all coincided with reading Eckhart Tolle's book A New Earth and doing the webcast, the book, like a book club webcast, and my therapy. They all came together and led me to the path of yoga teacher training in Tulum. And I had a friend who had told me that I should go to Tulum for vacation. It's a really amazing spot that I would love. So the idea to go to Tulum came to me a couple months ago from a coworker friend. And then nothing is coincidence, but happenstance led me to my first yoga teacher training, because Brian decided to do it in Tulum. So I just wanted to go to Tulum and deepen, because the yoga was helping me so much. I just wanted to go deeper into the practice and immerse myself in yoga in Tulum as a self-care. And it was a 3-week intensive. So for the initial yoga teacher training, like a lot of the 200-hour training, and I know a lot of people who are rethinking about career changes during this time, during this quarantine, a lot of people are considering like online yoga teacher trainings, and the 200-hour is the first one, but Brian does it a little differently. So his was like a 300-hour one, immersed for 3 weeks in Tulum. And it was with 26, I forgot the total, like 60 people from 26 different countries that joined that teacher training, which was really amazing. And it was very transformative. And the first 2 weeks, it just feels like you're on a retreat, practicing the sequence over and over. So you embody it physically and just know it inside out first. And we would go on these silent walks, and it was very nourishing. We went on a very strict diet. So you got to do the work yourself as a yoga teacher. So that's what he really emphasized in the training, just looking at your shadow side, working out your fears, and cultivating self-love, doing the practice physically, and then we would have our talks. So during that time, everyone was fine. And then once we learned and mastered the sequence, which was divided into 3 sections, we had to start practice teaching in small groups, and you would only teach one section. The whole sequence was divided into 3 sections, and each group would teach just one section each day. And then through that whole last week of the 3-week program training, you would have each section teaching with each other, and you would take turns teaching that same sequence. And then the next day you would do the other section. So by the end of the week, you would do all 3. So even though this was teacher training, we all knew we were going in there for the teacher training. Everyone a lot of people freaked out. Even me, I was like, oh my God, I gotta actually teach and be in front of people. Even with the small group, it was still very nerve-wracking. And I can tell you, I wasn't alone. Almost everybody kind of freaked out. It's like almost as if we forgot that we were there to learn to teach yoga. It was more like a retreat. Even though we were just learning a lot of deep teachings of yoga. So some people actually packed up and left that first day of the practice teaching week. So I still went ahead and did it, and it was not comfortable. I didn't do the best job, but I still was able to just show up and do it, regardless of feeling the fear, and got my certification. And then a year later, I did my 300-hour with Yoga Works. And at that time, it's a 6-month long program that you meet week and nights and weekends and with a mentor. So there's a lot of practice teaching from day one. Every Wednesday evening was just pure practice teaching. And then you also practice teach with your mentor groups that have separate meetings. So even then, I was not very comfortable, but just keep showing up and doing it. And that's when I really honed the purpose of why I wanted to teach yoga and aligned with what's called a dharma. So you don't have to be the best, but when you just show up with the devotion, the right intention, and when you know that it's your calling, you just show up anyway and just do your best. And over time, it becomes easier and the fear just kind of dissolves. But at the same time, especially if you're an empath, when there's a group that you're looking at, sometimes it's really overwhelming and you can pick up everybody's opinions. You can read people's thoughts. Sometimes you get very sensitive to certain people's reactions or facial expressions. And then sometimes you think, oh my God, they're thinking critical thoughts about me. So it can be very nerve-wracking, especially as an empath with all this energy being thrown away. So the more you can do this entrainment, law of entrainment work, and do the work yourself, and know the material, and show up with that set of intention and purpose to serve and help, aligned to your dharma, DHARMA, then it becomes very easy, and the fear just kind of dissolves without you forcing it. But of course, the nerve is still there. So doing these deep breathing, breath work to calm your nerves always helps. And then also visualizing the person that you're going to be helping. So you can really create what that person's name will be. You can visualize his or her face, really name that person, and just think about you're talking to that person. Or you can pick a friendly face in an audience and just kind of make eye contact with a few people. And just know that, again, letting go of your ego, and know that this is not about you, and just calling in from that higher channel, from your higher self, to bring about sharing for the highest good of all. And so I feel that just thinking about who you're going to help with your message, whether it's just entertaining or educating or giving some transformational teachings. Just thinking about that helps. And, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of tips, like a lot of the general tips I've seen over the years in terms of getting over fear of public speaking. Some people say visualize that the whole audience is naked, but like to me, I don't think that works. So see what works for you. Maybe you resonate with that, but for me, I don't think that's that helpful to me. So, and most importantly, I think it's just about being yourself, especially nowadays. I think people appreciate when you're just more authentic and you're just speaking your truth. So again, it's about showing up and doing the work yourself so you can really share from that space of overflow and from your truth, using discernment to really know what is your truth and just sharing from your experience. And I'm a student of Course in Miracles with Marianne Williamson, and she always says to teach is to demonstrate. So when you're doing a public speaking, in some ways you're kind of like in that teacher role to make impact for people. And my mentor Kia Miller during the 300 hour, she always gave so much encouragement to help me break out of that uncomfortableness. And instead of criticizing, some yoga teachers' teaching style, they're very critical and they just pick on all the things you did wrong, which can mortify you and like make you more uncomfortable. But luckily for me, that method doesn't work as me. Maybe it works really well for someone. But my teacher was really helpful in just really encouraging when you do something right so that you feel more uplifted. So just finding the right mentor and find the style that you resonate with. So I really resonate with the way my mentor taught. So, at Yoga Works, where I did my 300-hour advanced training with, they always say, when you're first starting out, you imitate and then you innovate. So it's really important to find some sort of mentor that not you want to mimic, but the style that you resonate with. Because, everyone has different styles, different personalities. What works for you doesn't work for another person. And then when you just show up to what feels right for you, what is authentic to you, then the people that are aligned to it will come to you. And those who don't, not everyone's going to always like you. So just being okay with that fact. So you're not trying to please or appease to everybody, but just having trust that people who are resonating with you, that needs your message, will find you. And then they will also learn from you, from being your authentic self. And then it makes it easier for you to show up. And especially as an empath, you're not going to be as drained on an energetic level. So it's also just letting yourself come out of the shell and being seen and getting out of that comfort zone. And when in times of changes, it's so important to learn to adapt and flow with what's going on so that what you resist persists. So you definitely want to just let yourself be seen and trying to overcome that fear, doing things out of the box. Also flowing with the changes and adapting to necessary changes instead of resisting and being stuck in your way or trying to hold on to the old ways. The more you learn to do that, and that applies to a lot of other parts of your life, the easier these times will be, and you can move through it with more joy, keeping your vibrations high. And that is the most important part of this time. And also knowing that for some people, you will always have that sense of nervousness, no matter how much you overcome the fear, how much you practice showing up and speaking in public. And then me doing this is also very uncomfortable too. So the more I do it, the more it becomes easier. And it's kind of weird just talking to the camera. Like at least in Zoom, you can kind of chat with people. And that's why I like doing the lives. Whether people show up or not, I still show up for the replay and just to set the intention out there that people who need the message will find this material and will receive it. So just being okay that the fear is still there, but just using the breath work to calm your nerves, learning to how to control your nerves, and then still show up and doing the work. So I've heard, I love music and I watch a lot of interviews from different artists. I love hearing about how people make songs, the creative process of any genre. I just love hearing about how people create and their creative processes. And, you know, a lot of musicians are also introverts. They're empaths, but that's how they have the gift to create those beautiful music that's touching us on an emotional level that helps to connect the world and heal through their art. And a lot of them do have to get over this fear of stage, like not public speaking, but like stage fright. And I know even some of the biggest stars, musicians, singers that have been performing for decades, some of them still get a lot of anxiety and fear. They get that stage fright before going on, to the point where like they throw up. But they still go because they know they have this gift that they have to share, and just being okay with it, knowing that it's okay if you still have the fear. So over the time, I've been teaching yoga for almost going on 10, it'll be 10 years next year. That's not including the time I started the first teacher training. Because with the first teacher training, I just went through the training and I just never taught. And I just went straight back to my design work. And I never had an intention to teach. So it's not something I like work to get over the fear of speaking in front of the group to teach yoga. That work really happened with my 300 hours with Kia Miller. And even Brian said, you just share your practice, share what you know. And he just makes the teaching very simple. So again, when you just share from your experience, your practice, your studies, and mastering the subject, then it becomes more easier to share the information in a public platform. So like even when you go on Zoom, just practice, just saying hello and turn the mic on. Just do little things to make baby steps to be comfortable being in front of camera or just speaking out loud with strangers. And you would be amazed at how much of a connection you can still cultivate virtually through these online platforms. And so this technology has been a blessing. And some people, I feel that a lot of people are missing out because either they have fear of being seen, which is same as having fear of public speaking in these videos and talking through the videos. And a lot of times I notice that the etiquette kind of goes out, just like when people text. So I think it's important to also bring this same type of etiquette you would practice when you see people in person, like saying hello and asking how they're doing. This basic greetings, I think it's very helpful. And even just doing that just kind of helps to get you out of the shell. And I know a lot of yoga teachers teach, they might be comfortable teaching in front of a group, but then this technology, maybe some people also have fear of technology and technological mishaps, things like that. So it's okay to mess up. It's okay to, we're all learning. And the most important thing that I've learned is that most people, they are supportive. They all want you to succeed. And so the more you can just show up and connect with people, we can all help each other to get through this time, especially if you're alone, stuck in an apartment by yourself through this quarantine. Then I think it's even more important, even just going on Instagram Live. And that's why I'm offering this tea time, even though we can't converse. I mean, here I can invite few people to have conversation, but it's different from Zoom. So I'm just offering various ways to connect, either via Zoom or these lives. And I also participate in watching and going into a lot of these. And I make sure that I always say something, even if it's like one time, just to say hi. So from just doing it for 8-9 years, teaching yoga, so I've gotten very comfortable speaking in front of people. I'm not like this master public speaker, by no means. But I can at least say that I don't get as nervous, and I'm just very calm, and this is just me, but I'm not into performing either. So you're not going to see me like overly exaggerating things, or I'm not an actress. So you're not going to see me overly performing either, but just showing up authentically. And with this tea time, I get to share more personal stories with you. So again, if you have any tips of what worked for you, or if you need any support in your fear of public speaking, please write in the comments. And if you made it this far, please write sparkle in the comment. And one last thing is, so I went from, I teach one-on-one, small classes, I've taught big classes, and then one big test I had as far as like overcoming fear of public speaking is I was scheduled to teach a doga class, yoga with dog, for a sponsored company. And it was on a Saturday morning. And I thought I was showing up just to teach like a 15 people class. And then it turns out that that class was partnered with this big event that was happening every summer in Santa Monica Pier, and it's called a Roga. So it's like run, swim and yoga, or run and yoga, or something like that. So I'm sorry I messed up that event, what the description of the event is, but that day they decided to combine doga. So the Roga sponsored the event. And at the last minute, I found out that I had to teach the class for 150 people who didn't know they were coming for yoga with dogs, that they were just coming for yoga after their run. So I was introducing yoga with dogs to people who've never done it. And normally I teach it to people. With them, I was teaching like a consistent monthly class to people who have been coming. So within like 15 minutes, I had to switch gear and teach it to this large group. Most of them didn't even have dogs. So I'm teaching yoga with dogs with people who didn't have a dog, and like really had to improvise a lot and change my sequence so that it helps the runners instead of just doing yoga with dogs, but introducing the elements of the yoga with dogs. So that was with like over 150 people at the Santa Monica Pier, but I had like great support, production crew, and it was a really amazing experience, amazing event. But had I not been just constantly doing the work, I couldn't have done that. So I was able to really enjoy it. And so many people really enjoy the experience. And it was a first for everybody. A lot of firsts for everyone. And it was beautiful weather, and the nature is always so healing in creating that oneness. So we really felt that symbiotic energy. And when you have that connection to oneness with everybody in synchronicity, it's the most amazing feeling. So I think that's what you can also experience. So you can get from that overcoming fear, starting with fear, and then really being able to connect with that highest vibration the experience can provide for you. Just connecting to that oneness, which is the ultimate goal of any experience that you want to have in this world, in this lifetime. At every minute you can. And that's what yoga is about. That's what Reiki healing is about. And again, remember that most people are there to cheer you on. They all want you to succeed. So just draw that energy from that. And everything I've talked about also apply to all those online lives. So you can also start to host your own live. You can do participate more in Zoom, and so we can all make this genuine connection. And with the Reiki healing, I've also experienced that the distance Reiki is even more powerful, and energy doesn't know the time and space and distance. And especially being a Reiki master, it's even more imperative that this is a very powerful tool to use. And you always want to face your fears and convert it to love. And miracle happens when you change your perspective from fear to love. And that's when you can really manifest and create miracles. So I hope that was helpful. So thank you so much for tuning in, especially if you're watching this on replay. I hope you have a happy tea time. You can do this anytime. Create your own tea time for you. And this is why I do these lives. So you can watch it at your own convenience if you don't make it to the lives. So cheers. And again, this went long because it's a very important topic, but usually the tea times, I will make it about 30 minutes. That's my goal, just to have a little afternoon break. And you can join as much time as you have for break. So it's not and then you can always watch the replay if you miss something. So if you want to join my email list, please check out turtleflowyoga.com. And I also offer Yoga Nidra guided meditation that helps with sleep and relaxation, reducing stress. And the one that I'm offering through my website, if you join my tribe, the email list, is specifically designed to help you overcome fear and connect to love. So I hope, and then once you sign up through my email list, you will be notified of what the next topic will be for the next tea time. And I also schedule it on my YouTube channel. So you will either see as a reminder schedule to set reminder and join me live every other Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you are interested in the topic or have something to share that you want to come on as my panel guest, you can always reply to me when I announce the tea time topic, and we can pre-arrange for you to join me as a panel. So this link that I just did, I'm just going to remove it for now. And again, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and please share with anyone who could benefit from the share that I just did today on public speaking. You can also follow me on Instagram at turtleflowyoga. And I hope to connect with you at any platform you're on, and definitely through YouTube. And I will be posting some breath work and some guided meditations soon. In the meantime, And I always do some type of full moon or new moon yin yoga Reiki. So check out those videos and definitely subscribe so when I post them, you'll be notified. So thank you so much for joining this afternoon. I wish you a wonderful afternoon, evening, or morning. So even though this is tea time, you can watch it anytime that you need. Go within and find your inner sparkle. Namaste. Wishing you lots of love, abundance, authentic connection. Bye. Oops, I'm gonna share. Bye. Oops. Still working with this.